Okay, well, you're interested in Gundam? If this ain't a stream for you, my friend. Welcome. Welcome to my terrible attempt at explaining Universal Century. A terrible primer for the Hathaway's Flash movie that will save you no time and leave you needing to watch the Gundam compilation movies and Char's counterattack. Probably. Okay, so, are we ready? Are we ready? Strap in? Wait, where's Hap? Before we actually start. Alright, that's not the right opening. Alright, here we go. I'm not affiliated yet. I don't have anything to lose. Okay, alright. Now we can get started. Okay. So what the fuck is Universal Century? So the important thing we need to start off with here is that, first of all, this whole thing started when Daifugu asked me, hey, can I go into watching Hathaway's Flash with, like, no prior knowledge? And I was like, no, you really shouldn't. Like, what? That's not what you should do at all. And he was like, okay, so what do I need to know? And I was like, well... Yeah, I was like realistically, you should watch some of the movies and then, like, you watch the 3 compilation movies and Char's counterattack. That's like, you know, some basic stuff. Or I can make you a bad PowerPoint that doesn't actually explain anything. And I said, you know what? Let's go with both. So here we are. So, the goal of this presentation is to very badly prepare you for Hathaway's Flash. That's it. This actually isn't like a Gundam PSA or anything. This is just a really dumb primer for a movie. Maybe you'll need to watch 4 more movies after this. Maybe you won't. Depends on how galaxy-brained you are. I'm a worm on a string. I don't know what to tell you. So, right. You see. Okay. The Gundam, as a franchise, has different timeline continuities. Universal Century is the first/main timeline that most people know. So anything that is a UC timeline series is in the same continuity. If it's in FC or Future Century, that's its own continuity. AC or After Colony, separate continuity. They don't have any overlap with the main Gundam series or Hathaway's Flash, right? So the only one we care about is UC, the Universal Century. And that's the stuff that includes, like, the original Gundam, the Char's counterattack movie, Hathaway's Flash, which is the end goal here, and a couple other series, like Unicorn, ZZZ, and I don't know what else is in the UC timeline, because I haven't seen most of it. Like, if you're wondering what makes it qualified to explain any of this to you, the answer in short is that I'm not. I hope we're clear on that. Okay, we're gonna go to the next slide now. Which is like, wow, that's a lot of Gundam, and I don't know if I want to watch all that just to watch a movie. And my response to that is that you shouldn't, unless you really want to. But I'm going to say you should, because there's giant robots, and I think they're cool. And this meme is very appropriate because the whole thing about Gundam, like, Tomino is crying right now. He has just started spontaneously crying, and it is my fault, because the whole thing with Gundam is that war is bad. That is the entire point of the series. Like, I forgot to mention War in the Pocket is in there, and, like, the whole thing about War in the Pocket was there's, like, minimal, like, robot fighting happening and stuff, because they were just focusing on, like, war, bad, please understand this. But, you know, most people are like, yo, big robot sexy. So, yeah. Anyways, TLDR is that in the Universal Century, people went to space, and then the people on Earth were, like, trying to say, like, all right, well, we're still technically in charge, so, like, you need to listen to us. And the space people were like, nuh-uh, you're not the boss of us. And the Earth people were like, well, I mean, you kind of came from Earth, so it would make sense. And then, surprise! War happened. Which came, really, I guess, to the surprise of no one in the end. And, you know, they made some cool robots at some point. which is a very important part. And like the war and shit isn't the important part for getting the Hathaway's flash. Like it is because the whole point of the series is that war is bad, right? But that's not important to get to the movie. Like the important part is that the Earth is fucked up. Like the environment and climate change straight up fucked up. Like no joke, they straight up destroyed Australia, and I shit you not, they called it Operation British. Like I can't make that up. I literally cannot make that up. Like, look at this. Do you see this? This is Sydney, Australia. That's the Sydney Opera House. That is a colony that they are dropping from space onto Sydney. Like, Australia's gone, guys. They just, like, Finding Nemo, gone, obliterated. I don't know. Anyways, so what's our first important takeaway here? The Earth is fucked up, like, straight fucked up. Like, you know, everything we're talking about is gonna happen if we don't do something about, like, climate change? Like, it's basically that. Kind of. Anyways, next thing we need to talk about is some very important key figures. Don't worry about this. So here we have Amuro Ray. Here comes the boy. Hello, boy. Welcome. There he is. Most people know him as the main protagonist of the first Gundam series. He has absolutely seen some shit, but still manages to be a good boy at heart. One iconic moment in the series is that not even his dad hit him before until Bright adopted him by slapping him, and we will get to that later, my friends. Amuro is also the literal greatest example of why you should always read the instruction manual. Like, kid ends up in a giant robot, and everyone else is like, oh my god, how does he pilot it so well? And he's just sitting there with the instruction manual like, I read the instructions. That's it. That's how he got... I mean, there's other reasons why he's good, but like, the main reason is he read the instructions, basically. You know. Depending on which continuity, he's also responsible for Haro, which you might have seen in other Gundam series or on Gundam merchandise. So, your mileage may vary on whether or not you love or hate him for that. Personally, I love him for it. We got Haro Man from it. Haro Man is incredible, and this is all the context you're getting for him. And, this speaks for itself. This is, like, the biggest negative to watching the compilation movies for the Gundam series is that they fix the animation errors like this, so you don't get this iconic moment. But, yeah, so that's Amuro. Alright, Shara's Nabble. Like, this bitch's popularity is insane. Like, I actually saw a tweet earlier that is incredibly relevant. It's this one. Like, I'm not joking when I say Homeboy is popular AF. He likes his mechs, like he likes his sports cars, red and fast. Poor Vagines. This is very important. We're never going to come back to this point. He came here to laugh at you, and he pilots a lot of suits, and I lose track a lot, but Sazabi is like the big popular one I see in kids. He has definitely fucked before, and also apparently has an Oedipus complex and maybe likes little girls. Yeah. Also, a sociopathic and manipulative AF bastard. Humans are bullshit. Shara's Nabble, probably, and he is absolutely iconic as a GPS voice pack. So, you know, you get Char, cooler Char, you know, as you do. Okay, so, remember when I talked about how Amuro got adopted earlier by a guy slapping him? This is the guy that adopted him. So he's actually the dad of the main character in Hathaway's Flash, and he originated the infamous Bright Slap, which is known for turning wimps into men of destiny, except the times where it doesn't. So, you know, hit or miss. And I can't emphasize enough that he literally adopts Amuro after slapping him. And in Unicorn, which is another UC series, like, they show his office, and I'm not even joking, like, that's a picture of Amuro in his office. I don't remember them showing a picture of his actual biological family. It's like, you can't make that up. Like, what the heck? And also, like, you didn't think I'd leave you guys hanging on the slab, did you? Like, absolutely not. Like, look at this beautiful, iconic moment. Not even my dad hit me. I'm your dad now, Amuro. Get in the robot. Yeah. Okay, so now we get to his actual biological son, Hathaway, who, as the name of the movie Hathaway's Flash might imply, is the main character for the movie. Kinda went through some fucked up shit as a kid. Definitely has PTSD. Has a type, and it is crazy. Beautiful textbook example of why having a famous dad sucks. Almost drowned once as a kid. And honestly, I spent half of the Char's counterattack movie memeing on Bright, like when Bright was gonna slap Hathaway like his big brother Amuro. Like, no joke, Hathaway would show up on screen and I'd be like, Dad, when are you gonna slap me like you slapped my big brother Amuro? That's how I went through the movie. No joke. He does get slapped though, so, you know, finally I know Dad loves me, which is great. Like, I love that for him. Alright, so Quest Pariah, she's straight up crazy. Like, remember how I said Hathaway has a type and it's crazy? Like, yeah, she's it. Her name sounds like Pariah. Yeah, that is absolutely intentional, fam. Like, she also thought she had a chance with Char, and I cannot emphasize enough that she is 13. Again, this is a 13-year-old who thought Char was her romantic interest. Anyways, the important thing is that she gets killed in Char's counterattack, and Hathaway is kind of understandably traumatized by that craziness because it literally happens, like, right in front of him. Like, damn, that's rough, buddy. Like, my man Zuko here is covering it best, like, shit, that's rough. Also, I always thought her hair was weird, but apparently that's just supposed to be a sign of her just, like, not being all there in the head. Like, okay. Anyways, this is the next set of takeaways after we covered the characters, which is that Amuro and Char are pretty goddamn iconic, and most people outside of Gundam generally know who they are. Hathaway's the main character of Hathaway's Flash, and Quest died, but she kind of had a lasting effect on Hathaway, which is, you know, kind of how trauma and PTSD works. So, you know, that's always fun. I swear to God, I cannot emphasize enough that this image is incredibly relevant to Hathaway's Flash. He has a type, and it is crazy. Alright, okay, so some key plot points. Are we really now just getting to this part? Yeah, we are. Strap in, kids! Some plot points. So, remember how he talked about the beginning with the Earth being fucked and whatnot? Like, yeah, general human consumption and a bunch of people fighting in giant robots, unsurprisingly, left the planet in very bad shape. Like, straight up, people talk about the Earth needing to heal from humanity. Yeah, that was all only characters, and not even all the characters, like literally just the 4 that I thought were important to know going into Hathaway's Flash if you had never watched Gundam before. So, the important thing, though, is that Char drops an incredible line about people's souls being weighed down by gravity, and that's why humanity is, like, bullshit. Literally, Char's counterattack is Char believing that humans are polluting the Earth and trying to drop an asteroid on Earth to basically wipe out humanity, cause a nuclear winter, and give time for the Earth to heal. Like, this is the guy who would, like, take a before and after of the Earth after dropping a meteor on it and be like, nature is healing! Like, that's Char. Straight up. And this isn't relevant to the PowerPoint, but it's an iconic scene, and it does show up in the movie, and it really doesn't do this scene justice because Amuro jumps out of a moving jeep to tackle Char off his literal high horse. And if you notice the suit and tie here, and we go back a couple slides, by the way, I just want to point something out. If you notice, that's the same suit and tie that Amuro has in the picture in Bright's office. So somehow, Amuro got a picture, or Bright got a picture of Amuro on the iconic day where he literally tackled Char off his high horse. Like, yeah. Like, I didn't even notice that right away, and it's pretty damn great. So yeah, once again with Char's counterattack, that's where he decided that he could do better than Zeon just dropping a colony in Australia, and that they could do better. So why not drop an entire colony on the planet? What could possibly go wrong with that? Like, surely no one would oppose him with this plan, right? And that's this again, this is the movie where Quest dies and Hathaway accidentally becomes a combat veteran as a child and he's seriously traumatized and stuff. And then there's the Axis Shock, which honestly, Axis Shock kind of gets its own slide. This is like the one semi-serious slide in the PowerPoint, by the way. Because this was like a kind of pivotal event in the timeline. Because basically in the middle of dropping the asteroid on Earth, Amuro and a bunch of other people basically come together to manage to prevent the asteroid from falling, and like this is kind of referred to as the light of possibility, right? And in the series proper, like most people know that outside the show know that, but in the series it was kind of like, oh, they're MIA, we don't know what happened to them, but later on everyone kind of realizes that, oh. So, kind of pivotal moment, comes up every now and then as a reference. So, anything else we need to know? TLDR, Char's counterattack and what Hathaway witnessed as he grows up basically causes him to end up agreeing with Char's views, which is kind of not what his dad wants for him. And between all of that and his PTSD, he decides that drastic measures are necessary for the good of the planet, which basically means terrorism. So, yeah. If you didn't know, and they advertised this straight up, he's a bioterrorist. Like, Avalanche would like to know Hathaway's location to recruit him, because they apparently have some very similar views on, like, how to solve world problems. Oh my god, could you imagine a Final Fantasy VII Gundam crossover between, like, Hathaway's Flash and Avalanche? That would be wild. Oh my god. In conclusion, this probably didn't do anything to help you, and honestly, I recommend you at least watch the Char's counterattack movie before you go into Hathaway's Flash. Point is, don't just rely on this PowerPoint. Really, you should at least watch Char's counterattack. And also, watch G Gundam, because it has absolutely nothing to do with what we just talked about, and there's a Sailor Moon Gundam. So, any questions, kids? Yeah. Thank you for coming to the presentation. So, just to clarify though, in case someone is interested in Gundam in general, Netflix does have the original Gundam series compilation movies up, as well as Char's counterattack. That's probably how you're going to be watching Hathaway's Flash. Maybe I should have just done a watch party. I am pulling it out of my ass.